Are you working with someone you can't stand? We've all been there. Working with people I want to punch in the throat has been called relatable and laugh out loud hilarious. Read the stories about all the crazy people Jen Mann has worked with over the years. Find out who she wants to punch in the throat. Working with people I want to punch in the throat is now available everywhere books are sold.
Hi, I'm Denise Grover-Swank.
And I'm Jen Mann.
And we are two Midlife Mommas.
Hello.
Welcome to our podcast. Wow, we are on number 10.
I can't even believe it.
I know, right?
I'm getting us new business cards next time.
You keep saying that.
I'm really going to now. I'm really going to.
Are you going to get some for me too? Or are they going to have both our names on
It'll
it?
be both of us. It'll be two Midlife Mommas starring Denise Grover-Swank and Jen Mann. And then it'll be like, I don't know, podcasts. We need an award though. We need to get an award. You know how there's always like those rando awards you can win? Like,
yeah.
I'm just going to apply for one just so we can win one.
Okay, let's do it so we can say we won an award.
Like the best podcast taped in Blue Springs, Missouri on this day.
I like it.
Yeah.
We just need to get like in the top 100 of podcasts.
Wouldn't that be great?
We could say that.
We could say that.
In top.
Well, you know, this is going to air in a few weeks, and maybe by then we already will be.
We're going to go viral.
Let's just dream. Let's dream.
Well, I think the sex episode back in week 7, episode 7.
It had the potential.
Sounds like that one could have like actually like, yeah.
broken out somewhere.
Yeah, but it's not aired yet, so we don't know.
Hopefully.
We're living in the future.
Fingers crossed.
Well, today we are on to another topic sort of similar, teens dating. So,
yeah.
Because a lot of mothers in midlife have teens and are having to deal with them in the teen world. And it's very, very different than when we dated. It's a whole different world out there. So.
Well, and I guess I felt like, for me, like I asked Denise this question because Denise has older children. And I thought, surely you've been through this. I have a 14-year-old, so I'm just sort of getting started. And I feel like there's all these books about, you know, what to expect when you're expecting.
Yes.
There's all these, I know
toddlers.
Yeah, like I know what to do when they have temper tantrums and things like that. But when a 14, 15-year-old kid comes home and says, you know, Mom, I have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, that's great, honey. Yeah. But inside you're like screaming internally because you're not quite sure. And it's like things mean different things now too.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like, we're exclusively dating on text message. Like,
right.
I'm like, do you want to go somewhere? No, we don't want to go anywhere. We just text each other exclusively. Oh.
Yeah, my 16-year-old, when she was in 7th and 8th grade, she had a boyfriend here and then at the beginning of 9th grade. And yeah, they didn't even text really. Like they just were boyfriend and girlfriend and they didn't do anything. And I'm like, because my rule was that they couldn't date until they're 16.
Okay.
Like, I don't want my 15-year-old daughter getting in a car with a 16 or 17. I just don't want that. So my question was, okay, well, are you guys going to like each other at the movies? Or are you like are you sitting together at lunch? No. Are you like chatting via text message? No, not really. And I'm like, are you talking on the phone? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, so it's a pseudo boyfriend. Okay, you can have that.
Now, did you have the same rules for your sons too? That the 16 too, that they couldn't date before 16?
Yeah, they could claim that they were boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. So I would let them. So when they could like have a boyfriend or girlfriend, and I would let them, you know, maybe meet each other at a movie. Like I'd drop them off and pick them up. But I would never like let them come over and hang out or go to another. But they never really asked for that either.
Do you have like a rule that you can't have boyfriend girlfriends in your bedrooms, or like they have to be in the public space or what have you?
When they get like older, like after high school and stuff, that's another thing because I've had my boys live with me after high school and had significant others. They can't spend the night. Okay. But yeah, they can go hang out in their rooms.
Yeah. See, I think that's the thing. It's like when we were kids, for one, there was nobody that wanted to date me anyway. So I never had to worry about that. Like I never even
really have boyfriends in high school.
And like my brother had a girlfriend and my parents, that was kind of their first thing. But like at first they made this big deal she wasn't allowed in the rooms, but then it was like they just got like less and less hard about the rules,
right?
And I was like, that's not fair,
right? No, exactly. Yeah.
And so, do you find yourself like sort of like now that you're on, sixth child here, getting ready any day now to probably start dating somebody over text message?
God, I hope not.
Like, do you think you will be as firm? Or are you exhausted now of enforcing all your rules?
Well, I have found that, like, as time goes on with rules, like, I was much stricter with my boys, and my boys are never fail to tell their younger siblings that things were different for them, and boy, they have it good. Those younger kids have it good. They're back when I was a kid. Like, they pull out there. I walked uphill both ways, in the snow. I have found that I'm like realize that some of the things I thought were like important are really not.
Like
important.
What? Can you give me an example?
Well, like staying clean, like having clean clothes, or like wearing clothes that match to school.
Right.
Like I was all worried about. I was much younger mother, and I was worried about what people thought of me as a mother. And so, like Emma, when my youngest, when she would go to school in 3rd grade, often her clothes didn't match, and it would drive my older daughters crazy. But I mean, like, that's what she wants to wear. I will point out to her they don't match, but if she still wants to wear them, I don't care. It's not worth the fight. It's the only time I will fight her on what to wear is school picture day, and if we go to a wedding or something.
Yeah, right.
It's the only time. Otherwise, she can wear what she wants.
Yeah.
As long as it's not, I would make her wear shirts that were long enough to cover her butt if she was wearing like really tight leggings. But other than that,
my whole thing is like I had to start keeping track of what especially my son was wearing, because he would wear the same outfit like 3 days in a row. And I would be like, hang on,
that's another thing.
I was like, I saw that outfit on Monday and it's Thursday. Like, it's time to retire that outfit
for the week.
Like, it's had a good run. But on the other hand, I feel like keep him weird and smelly and maybe he won't get a girlfriend.
That's right. So, that's true too.
And then I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Because he's got like, so what do you do like with dances, like school dances? Did your kids go to those?
Yeah, it's really strange because like my sons had girlfriends, but never really serious girlfriends in high school. And then Julia never had a boyfriend at all in high school, so I didn't have to worry about it. She always went with her friends. And then Jenna, she's 16. She had boyfriends like in middle school and freshman year, but she's a junior now and she hasn't had a boyfriend for like a year and a half. And she's like, oh, boys don't interested in me. We keep telling her, well, maybe if you actually like talk to them, they might be. But she likes to read about boys and YA novels, and I think that's like to her. Like, she's like, oh, boys are gross, and they were like, well, boys in YA novels are fictional.
Or I mean, book boyfriends are always better than real boyfriends too. You have both sides of it. Like,
but if she's 16 and a half, like if there was a guy she wanted to go out with, I would let her go out with him, and there would be curfew because she doesn't go out that much. So like, she went out not too long ago. She's like, why? Like, she was like questioning me. She's like, do I have a curfew? I'm like, oh, let's just make it midnight. It's okay.
Do you track your kids on apps?
No, I didn't, but I just recently made them all add me to find a friend. Because Jenna is now driving to school down miles away through downtown, and so it's more like if I can't get a hold of her and I'm freaking out, I want to see, okay, oh, she's still at school, we're
like,
okay.
Where is she?
Like, oh wait, she's like stopped on the highway. So but more for that reason, because they don't really go out all that much. My kids are homebodies, like major homebodies.
My kid is like, my older one is pretty much a homebody, but like last week was his first, he's a freshman this year, and it was his first home football game.
Oh, okay.
And he announced, and he kind of waits to see like how he's feeling. Like, he's not that kid who was like telling me on Monday he's going to the football game Friday. Like, it really depends on kind of how he's feeling that night. And so he came to me about 20 minutes before the game was supposed to start, and he's like, I'd like to go to the game. And so I was like, oh, okay, like, and I do have apps on, but he turns it off a lot of times because it drains his battery or whatever. So I was like, well, you have to have your app on, and you have to like text me when I text you. Like, you gotta text me right away, because I was gonna go sit at that game. So I'm like, you're going by yourself. Like, I'm not gonna chaperone you. But then my 12-year-old, who's a 7th grader, I found out tons of middle schoolers go to these games, which I did not know that because he had never done that before.
Oh, okay.
And so she was like, well, I want to go too. And I was like, whoa, sister. Like, who are you? Like, have a seat. And, but then she started telling me all the names of the friends who are going. And I'm like, and I guess there's like a whole section for middle school kids to sit in. And, you know, she's like, it's a whole thing, Mom. And I was like, well, I'm out of it apparently. And so, but it was the weirdest thing to sort of drop them both off. And I told her brother, I was like, stay with your sister. And he was like, I'm not staying with her.
Gross.
Yeah, he was like, absolutely not.
Way to kill my social life.
And even her, she was like, absolutely not, Mom. No way. He's not. And so I was like, all right, well, you both have to meet up after the game and, you know, meet me to get picked up or whatever. But yeah, it was like kind of weird to like drop them off and really not know. Like, I didn't even know how to like where to go or how to go.
Yeah,
and
that's a little.
It was just kind of scary the first time to like leave them there and know that you know, if something happened, like, am I gonna be able to get to them quickly? So But then my other thing too is I realized after I had dropped them both off, like my daughter, I know more of her friends' parents. Yeah. Because she's still in middle school and parents still have to do a lot and that kind of thing. But my son who's in high school, like I don't know any of his friends really. Like he doesn't have anybody ever come over. Yeah. And so like, do you ever meet the parents of their friends and stuff? Like how does that work?
Well, it's weird because I was just thinking about this. Like, my son got invited to he's going to a new school. He was there last year, but he's like kind of like finally finding his own way there and like having a social life and stuff. So, like, he last year I'm like, okay, do you want to go to the games with your friends? No, not interested. But my daughter's a cheerleader, so I would go, and he would literally just sit with me but this year he's like started going off and doing his thing. But he got invited to a friend's house, and so I had never met this friend. I didn't know anything about family or anything, so I take him over, and I walk up to the door to introduce myself to the mom, and the kid's like, oh, my mom's still in her room, her pajamas, because it no judgment. The first time Jen showed up, and I was in my pajamas.
Please greet me.
But like, I would have been, if it was me, I would have been like going to the door to meet the parents. So so that seemed odd. But I find like when they're in high school though, I tend not parents as much. So
well, I feel like some of them are very close, the parents, and so it's kind of different. Like with the homecoming dance coming up, like I know a lot of the parents are planning on getting together and they're all gonna like take photos with the kids and you know, groups of kids or whatever. And I'm sort of like, so am I supposed to go? Like no one's actually like officially told me the details. Like I know what time my kid needs to be there, but I'm like, can I just show up at somebody's random house and go in their backyard?
Yes, go.
Like, because I remember the very first time he was in middle school in 6th grade. He, like, the first day of school, he called me and said he'd met new friends and he was walking home with them.
Oh, wow.
And he was going to go play at their house. And I was sort of like, oh, okay. Like, this is how we do it now. And then he told me where they lived and I knew the house that he was talking about. So I was like, okay. But he hung up before I could really talk about what time I would come get him. And finally, but like, I remember he had like a soccer game or something that night. And so finally I was like, I just have to like drive over there and get him, I guess. Like, I kept texting him and calling him.
He wouldn't,
and he wouldn't pick up. And so like I went up there and I rang the doorbell, but it's like, it's weird. Like, nobody really rings your doorbell unannounced anymore.
Right.
And so
it's very frowned upon.
Yeah. And the mom answered the door and she like, she was not in her jammies, but she was super cash, which I loved. And I was like, oh, hi, I'm here to get I think my kid is here. And she's like, yes, come in. And she was like super friendly, but we talked about it at the time that it was like weird because she's like, yeah, he just came home. My son's invited him home and he have no idea who you are, who he is. And so that was nice, but not everybody is as friendly.
Yeah. I've noticed that because like when my boys were younger, you always knew their friends. Yeah. And as my second round of children are coming around, it's much more common to not the parents. And it just feels weird to me to not know them.
And it's not like I'm gonna like I can learn a whole lot from
Yeah, no, I
meeting
know,
you,
but just put a face and a name with a kid, and
yeah, and I think too, it's like just to have that conversation and just sort of establish like some, because you know when they were little, like you knew the rules of the house, and you
right,
knew like,
yeah,
you know, I mean my kids don't have allergies or anything like that, but it's
right,
like you know if you had anything like that,
yeah,
and now you're just sort of like good luck, you know,
yeah,
I'll see ya,
yeah,
and I just worry like you know what, because now it's not so much do you feed my kid junk food, it's you know do you have older siblings in this house that will sell my kid a jewel, you know?
right. I know, right?
You know that's
Yeah,
my favorite is when my
yeah.
son just sort of casually lets it slip that you know oh yeah so and so's older brother's in juvie. I'm like oh cool you know just like cool. So which friend is that? You know like
Why is he in juvie?
yeah, I'm like what happened?
Yeah.
So you know I just find I that's my whole thing now is that it's like the stakes seem much higher
Yes.
when they're older.
Well, and I think too, like when you let your kid go to another friend's house, especially like to spend the night or something, when they're middle school or older, there's just so much more trouble they can get into if they're not
Yes.
supervised.
Yeah.
So it's super awkward.
Okay, so yeah, so
Do
like
you like asking? Do you ask the parents, or are you like planning
right.
like what? Yeah, and so
Well, so this week I had a meetup for that Midlife Bites group, okay? And we had this meetup in Kansas City where we all got together and like went out for drinks and dinner. And I was talking to a woman who has a son who's a sophomore. And she told me how this came up in our conversation and she said that she was invited to chaperone an after party for one of these dances. And that like a parent somebody was holding the party and the mom called and said I just need a few moms to come over and help me chaperone, and she was like great, I would love to come chaperone and meet you all.
right.
And she said that she got there and then the kids were all in the basement and the moms were all upstairs.
Oh wait, that's not chaperoning.
And so this woman was like, I'm gonna go take a lap and just see how the kids are doing, and the mom was like, oh, they've asked for their privacy. Oh, no.
Well, then what?
Like,
that's
what am
not
I here
chaperoning.
for? Right? Like, I'm not here to like let them
Yeah.
just do stuff while I'm here.
Yeah.
And I remember like, I forget, did you grow up here in Kansas City area?
Yes.
So like back in the day when we were back in high school and stuff, do you remember when people used to like the parents would buy the alcohol and stuff like that, and we'd have these big parties, and it was a big deal over in Johnson County, and like the cops were always busting, like every weekend the cops were busting a party. And that's what I was trying to tell my son. I was like, you know, it's like illegal for a parent to buy, for an adult to buy alcohol for a child. Like you're still a child. I know you think you are like some tiny man thing, but you're a child. And I was like, it's illegal. And he was like shocked. He's like, it is. And I was like, 100%, bro.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing is like I worry like where like I don't care, they can play violent video games, they can eat junk food, they can stay up till midnight, but you know I just want to know kind of where the lines are,
right?
And it's hard to ask people.
Yes, it's really hard to ask people.
When they were younger you could kind of suss it out like at a play group or something, and now I don't have that opportunity, and I feel like, you know, my son tells me that I'm the worst. I'm overbearing and I have so many rules. And I say, well, you know, I go on Facebook and I ask these questions on Facebook and I get thousands of responses that sound very much like what I believe.
Right, exactly.
And I said, so I can't be the only parent out there that feels this way.
Right.
And he'll say, well, that's just because that's what you attract, Mom. Well,
okay.
So good news, folks. You're all the good parents.
Yeah.
But I think, like, because I do think people are sensitive. Like, if you call up and you're like, what's happening at your party?
Right.
Like, what's going to go down at your party tonight?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, why? Who is this? Why do you want to know?
Yeah.
And then he gets uninvited, probably.
Right. I will say that I haven't done it. Like, I haven't really asked the questions. But usually I try to, like, before I let him spend the night at someone's house, I've actually had the kid over a few times.
Okay.
So I can kind of get a feel for what kind of kid it is.
Yeah.
Right? You know, is this a kid that, like he's, like, looking for trouble? I've seen a few of those in my lifetime. Or is this a kid that's, like, very polite and, you know, seems...
But then those are the Eddie Haskells,
well, sometimes
too.
they are. Sometimes they are. So, yeah. But Ryan has a friend who he spent the night with a couple of times, and both times, like one time he went over to his friend's house and his phone got broken.
Oh.
And then another time something else happened, I can't remember, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? What's going on over there? And so I'm a little more hesitant
Yeah.
go to this friend's house, and I'm pretty sure that's the friend who taught him how to search for porn. So,
Oh.
I mean, that's not something you're going to ask his parents. Hey, does your son watch porn? Is he going to teach my son how to find it?
Yeah. No, that would be a tough one. That would be a tough one.
So,
oh,
yeah,
gosh.
because I'm sure they're like, oh no, my
He
son
would
would never do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm like, putting it out there that my son did. So now I'm like the bad mom, right?
You're like, oh,
because,
maybe your son taught my son how
yeah,
to search
right?
for it.
Yeah, no. But I did ask
my
him.
son hung out with your son recently.
I know, right? Well, and I didn't ask him who showed him because I asked him, I said, did you find this out from a friend? Yes. I'm like, is it a school friend or is it a new school friend or an old school friend?
Oh, okay.
All I need to know,
Yeah.
I know where you learned it.
Well, and I think and it's interesting because I think I see it more with the girls with the sleepovers because my daughter wants to have a sleepover every weekend.
Yeah.
And like last night, she asked me if she could have a group over, and there was a girl on the list who I did not recognize. We've never had her over, and I thought, I bet her parents won't let her come.
Right.
Like, I just bet they won't. And sure enough, her parents were like, we'll pick her up. She can come for a while and hang out, but we're going to pick her up at like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So they're going to meet me in my jammies because the hell I'm staying dressed that long.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
And I'm just going to be like, hi, come on in. I'm not crazy. I'm not weird. Well, that's debatable. But, you know, I might be your kind of crazy.
You're acceptable crazy.
I'm eccentric, you know, like I'm going to be like, welcome to my home. And they're going to see my box of books in the front hallway that says people I want to punch in the throat. And they're going to be like, what is happening? And I'm going to be like, it's fine. It's fine.
Don't worry about it. We're cool.
I'm completely normal. And they're going to decide then, you know.
Right.
But with the boys, I think we let the boys do a little bit. At least I see with my son's friends, they get a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I would say that's probably true.
And so because of that, he doesn't have that same, I don't know, barrier to entry, I guess.
Right.
You know, that the girls
Well,
do.
it's strange though because like with my girls, when they go to sleepovers, when Julia was younger, I didn't even think a thing about it. But then but then when Jenna started coming around, because there's like 6 years difference between them, it became like much more talked about, you know, abuse.
Yeah.
And it's like girls getting molested, you know, and so like that's not something you're like gonna ask a parent. I'm sorry, but is your husband planning to molest my daughter at the party? Like,
or the older brother.
Right, right. So yeah, it became a little bit more of a like,
and that's something again, that like we never thought about because even like my husband, he's only got a brother, and he's like, "What is with all the sleepovers?" I'm like, "Oh God, when I was a girl, that's all we did.
Right,
like
yeah,
every
exactly.
weekend I was at somebody's house, or they were at my house,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even
too, right?
just wasn't even a thing, you know, that you worried about, and you know, thank goodness." I never was abused, and I don't think any of my friends were at any of the houses we went to, you know. So it's like we didn't even think about that. But then, like once I started parenting, you know, then I was like, and you hear all this stuff, and you're just like, oh, dang. Yeah. And even my husband, like I was out of town, and my daughter wanted to have a sleepover, and he wouldn't let her. Yeah. And she called me up, and she's all, you know, huffy about it, and I was kind of like, yeah, that's what the big deal is. And so I called my husband, and he's like, I do not want to be home alone with a bunch of girls. Yeah. You know, he's like, think about it, Jen. I don't want to be in that situation. Yeah. And he's like, and no parent will want their daughter over here either. Right. He's like, probably. So he's like, no, she can do it next week when you get back. Yeah. And I thought, oh, God. And like stuff like that, we never even had to think about that.
Yeah. And I thought about that because Ross lives in the basement. And so like if Emma the youngest wants to have a sleepover, and I'm going to be gone like a chunk of time. Yeah. I won't do it. Yeah. Because I don't want to put him in that position to where it could come back and say, oh, and I wasn't here. So, yeah.
Right. Even my son, you know, when she has her sleepovers, I'm just like, they go to the basement, he stays upstairs. I'm like, just leave them alone. Just don't even go near them. Like you don't want to hang out with them on a good day. You definitely you know, like you have no business to be in their business. Like just leave them alone. And he does, but yeah, no, I just had not. And now after that, like we never do have a sleepover without me home.
So like when you're back to the dating part, so have you thought about, because this is something I faced recently, so have you thought about if they get a significant other, meeting the parents?
I know.
Because like when Jenna had her boyfriends, they were just pseudo boyfriends, so it wasn't issue. And then Julie didn't get her first boyfriend until college.
Yeah.
So then that was
more of a big deal.
And that was a big deal, like even like meeting him.
Yeah.
Because they went to school together, and then so like I think I invited him over like a couple of months after they were dating, and I invited him over for dinner, and then like all the siblings were here. Like the oldest brother came in, and my
not
children,
intimidating at all.
My children were off the wall, batshit crazy that night.
and yet
like,
he stayed.
And he like stuck around after dinner. And I'm like, this is a good sign, right? But then after they dated for a while, I'm like, okay, you know, like
at what point
this is like, do we meet the parents, right?
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, so like I was the one who was like, I guys have been together enough. I feel like I should meet his.
I think the only parents my parents met were my in-laws. Like,
really,
I don't think I ever introduced him because I did not really have a boyfriend in high school, and in college. I mean, I had a few guys, but
nothing serious.
Nothing serious enough that I felt like our parents needed to meet.
Right.
You know, and then yeah, and then when I started dating my husband, I don't think we were engaged yet. I know it was Christmas. My family was coming out. My mom was really into Christmas, and my brother had gotten engaged.
Oh, okay.
And he was spending his first Christmas away, like with his wife's, his fiance's family.
Right.
And so I was living in New York City by myself. And so my parents were like, my mom was like, I'm going to be alone on Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And so they said, we'll fly out and we'll spend Christmas with you, Jen.
Okay.
And so they came. And so my husband and I, we decided that would be a good time for our parents to meet. Because they lived in New York City. And, my parents lived here in Kansas City. And we went out. It was Christmas night, and we went out to dinner for Chinese food that night. And so my parents were like freaking out because my parents were like, "But what about the turkey?" And I'm like, "There's no turkey." I was like, "They're Chinese. Like they don't do that. Like we go out." And then my parents were like, "No restaurant will be open." I'm like, "All of Flushing,
it's New York."
Yeah. I was like, "Chinatown is open, Mom. Like it's okay." And so my dad still made like this elaborate like turkey dinner that day, like in my little apartment. And my fiance, my husband, came over and ate like a good egg that he ate this whole meal. And then like 2 hours later, we went out and had like 12 courses of Chinese food.
Oh my gosh.
And so, but yeah, I don't think anybody else I don't think they met anybody else. And so, yeah, I don't know what I would do exactly.
I think so. Like obviously, my boys, they dated, but they didn't date seriously. So I think I met one set of parents, but just kind of casually somewhere. Yeah. Like no, we didn't like have a dinner and like met. But like if Jenna or one of my other children started to date someone and I felt like there was like something that I would probably meet the parents just to kind of get a feel for like what their thought, not just grill them like, okay, so what are your thoughts on our children spending the night or together or whatever, but just
what are
kind
your
of
rules?
Try to get a feel for, you can usually tell if someone's conservative or liberal and just
in what areas they are.
So.
Well, and it's funny you say that because my mother-in-law, when I first met her the very first time, that she wasn't very friendly to me.
Oh.
And I commented on it later and told my husband, I was like, wow, she really doesn't like me. And he said, well, she doesn't want to get attached to you because you might not, because she doesn't know how long you're sticking around.
Oh.
And I had never really experienced that before. And so that has always sort of resonated with me that I feel like I definitely don't want to do that. Like, have you had breakups? Have you had to lose some boyfriends and girlfriends?
Yes, because my oldest son had married and got divorced.
Oh, so you really had a breakup.
Yeah, and then he, after that, then he started dating a girl, and they actually got kind of, I don't know if grace is the right word, but they like really liked each other, and then they broke up, and I never real reason why. I think they were starting to get serious, and she just had a serious relationship, and that they were getting so but I had met her because he brought her over pretty soon after they started dating because he was like, my family's kind of a little bit like crazy.
We should just get this out of the way.
So it was really important to him that if he had someone that they fit in really well with our family, and she did. Like she really did. And so like I met her, and then like they went to a movie, and they invited me to go. Like we went to Alamo Draft House, and I can't remember what we saw. And then they went off other night or whatever. And so, but I'm still like friends with her on Facebook. But they ended amicably.
Yeah.
And so like she actually worked at Cooper's Hawk. And so that's how, like, I met her right away before she even came over for dinner, because Trace took me there for a wine tasting, and I met her there, and we got along great. And yeah, so I met her like several times in person. But then like I went to a dinner. The Cooper's Hawk has like a monthly dinner, like a theme. And so I was going with a couple of friends. And so she like Trace and asked him if he wanted to go too. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, first of all, Trace, I'm not gonna like not drink, or like you might be a little embarrassed by me.
I will not be reining it in tonight.
We're cool. So like he went and hung out with her because they still remained friends. So,
yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah, so
well, I'm trying to think about it.
So like I haven't like had anybody like, I've not been like
I mean, you had a daughter-in-law. Like, it must have been kind of tough to lose.
She's still part of my life.
Yeah, that's good.
So, yeah.
So, because I think the thing, too, is that I see it a lot of people, and I'm sure I'll be the same way, too, that nobody's good enough for my kids.
Yeah.
Have you had that?
Well, I think...
Or you try not to.
I try not to, because I recognize I'm a bad mother who recognizes the imperfections in my own children. And I'm like, yeah, so I can see like, oh honey, you're so lucky that that person's putting up with this bullshit of yours. So I've had people, like my sons have dated people that I was like, oh, I don't think this is right for you, and not necessarily because I thought he was good for them, but because they were really shallow and selfish, and I just didn't feel like it.
Yeah. So. I can see that. My friend, I was talking to her, and her son has his first girlfriend, and he was fighting with her over text. They were fighting, and she walked by. She's like, just say you're sorry. You did something.
Right.
And he's like, but, and she's like, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And she's like, so I appreciate that. Like, I think that you can see that your kids for who they are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're definitely not perfect.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're definitely in the wrong, and they need to apologize.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because like my daughter, when she boyfriend college, I went the first time I saw them together. Like, went with her, and he didn't really touch her or get too close, and so I like away from that encounter, like a little bit guarded, like is this the right person for her? And then the next time I saw them together, they were like holding hands, and I was like, okay, like showing her affection. So I was like, okay, I feel better about this.
Yeah.
Because he like really cares about it. But then I realized, oh my gosh, how intimidating. Her mother's here. I mean, they were pretty new. So
he doesn't want a PDA all over her. Like...
And they definitely don't do that. But like I wanted to make sure cared about her.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's
so then I was okay. Like,
that's the mama bear in all of us.
Exactly.
We love them. We need someone else to love them.
Exactly. we want them to be loved the way we feel like they deserve.
Exactly. There it is.
So, okay, well, we filled up another podcast half hour.
I'm telling you, man, this is like going to be like our new gig. I'm
know.
so excited to get our business cards.
I know, right? No more writing. We're just going to sit here and talk all the time.
It's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier. So, okay, so if you are not subscribed, if you just stumbled upon us, you definitely need to subscribe. We are pretty much everywhere podcasts are found. It took us a while to get on iHeartRadio, but we're there now. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts. Our home of our podcast is Podbean, so you can right there, and we will just like show up on your phone unannounced and hopefully be expected, and you will be excited to hear us.
Yeah, and if you're not, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know. We can't fix that.
We can't.
It's a whole nother episode.
That's right. So, okay, well, have a great week, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, Denise here. I know you're sad because the podcast episode is over, and now you have to wait an entire week to hear us again. But guess what? You don't have to wait. You can listen to one of our audiobooks. Like to listen to true crime podcasts? I've got several mystery series to choose from. Or maybe you prefer to listen to podcasts about The Bachelor. Check out one of my rom-com series. You can find these audiobooks and many more at Audible, Apple Audiobooks, or check out my website, denisegroverspank.com, and click on audiobooks in the menu at the top. Happy listening.